Hey guys, welcome to this edition of PWP TV right here on YouTube. And this week, before I get into the video, I'd like to plug a couple things. The Gmail is prowrestlingpod@gmail.com. Once again, prowrestlingpod@gmail.com. The Twitter page is @ProwWPodcast. Once again, @ProwWPodcast. Available on iTunes, Podcast X, Spreaker, Amazon, Alexa, YouTube, and more. So today's video is basically going to be giving my thoughts about Shawn Michaels possibly coming out of retirement. There was a news story that broke saying that he does run that he did say that he would have one more match left in him, but it would have to be a tag match. The circumstances would have to be right. Blah blah blah. Now, with all that being said, my thought above everything else is will Shawn Michaels wrestle again? And I don't know if there's necessarily an answer to that. I don't. It depends on how much he misses wrestling. And I don't want to sound cliche or anything, but it really is the truth. Does Shawn Michaels miss being in that ring all the time? And furthermore, what would be the point of a one-off match? For nostalgia? I mean, I don't know, unless if he wants to help put talent over, but I don't think he'd want to do that just to come in and lose a match. Because the thing is, if you're Shawn Michaels, you're basically telling people, I want to wrestle again, and odds are you're going to win because you're Shawn Michaels. You're the greatest of all time. No offense to Ric Flair fans, but Shawn Michaels is the greatest of all time. End of story. I am a sucker for Ric Flair. I love Ric. But there's no one that is as good on the mic as Shawn and is also as good in the ring as Shawn Michaels. And he's always been a double threat, and it's been that way forever. So I mean, kudos to the guy. It's not an easy thing by any means to be that good for so long, but he pulls it off. He does a great job. So that kind of takes care of, I guess, part one is, would I think Shawn Michaels can come back? And I would say, yeah, I think Shawn would come back, but he wouldn't lose whatever match it is. There's just no point in that. And I think that, especially with Shawn Michaels, someone who's done it all, he is a Hall of Famer. Everything that he's done, he doesn't need to come back at all. But for him to come out and say, yeah, I'd think about it if the terms were right. I think that's also a little bit of hearsay. I kind of feel like he thinks he's obligated to say that, but who knows? But anyway, regardless, I do think Shawn Michaels will come back, for one more match. Now, the question becomes, well, is it singles? Is it a tag team? He came out saying he wants to be a tag team with Triple H to do the whole DX thing again. And I'm kind of like, look, for me personally as a fan, I would not be interested if he came back and did a DX one night only with Triple H where they both had a match. I would not be okay with that because what does that do? Nothing. I'm sorry, like D-Generation X has been around forever. They've had multiple runs. They're former tag team champions. All that good stuff. It's just there comes a time to where you don't need any of that. And I'm just, that's where I'm at with Shawn Michaels. He doesn't need to do any of that. I mean, it's cool. The music hits, you come out the glow sticks, you throw some shirts in the crowd, whatever. And it's fun. It's great. But people, I feel like, especially nowadays with how good NXT has gotten, with how step up the writing has been. I don't want to call it good just yet, but it's been a step up in terms of the actual writing of the shows creatively. If we were to look back to like 2012, 2013, compared to now, I think the writing has been a lot better. And I think with that being said, if Shawn Michaels comes back, creatively, from a creative standpoint, he doesn't need to be in a feud or a one-off with Triple H and DX. He should be in a singles match. Point blank, Shawn Michaels deserves to be in a singles match. He deserves to be in a match where it is him versus a guy of a huge magnitude. A guy like a John Cena, a guy like a Roman Reigns, and I know what people say. People don't like Roman, but it is what it is. Shawn Michaels, I think you owe it to yourself to face Roman freaking Reigns. I'm not a fan personally, and I think a lot of people aren't, but I think at the same time, and again, you have to kind of see things from his perspective, is that you're Shawn Michaels, you want to do this because you want to see if you still have it in you. But at the same time, can you also help get people over? I don't know. And that's I think part of the problem as well is that it's just I don't think it would be beneficial to anybody. It's not beneficial to Shawn. Shawn's retired. Would it be beneficial to a younger guy? Possibly. I don't know. That one's kind of hard to say. I think it depends on the person, which brings us to his dream opponents. He said, let's just knock a couple out. The first choice for him would be AJ Styles. And that's been a dream match with everybody for as long as I can remember because AJ Styles was the man in TNA for years, just like how Shawn was the man in WWE for years. So it would make so much sense to have Shawn in one corner, AJ in another, and just go head to head. I think that's the best case scenario. I think you cannot go wrong with an AJ and Shawn Michaels match. That prints money by itself. And AJ is someone who does not need a win to get over. If he loses to Shawn, it's not going to kill him. It might kill a younger talent, but the thing is, AJ will bounce back. AJ will be AJ. I'm not worried if it's AJ Styles. Oh, excuse me. Another opponent mentioned was Shinsuke Nakamura. Again, I think Shin can afford it, but the problem is that I don't know if Shin can afford it as much as AJ can. That to me is a little odd, but I will say this: it would make sense considering Shinsuke is a heel, but at the same time, it's not like he's been a heel for a long time or anything, and that's kind of the problem. Because if you have him face Shawn, you don't want him to lose to Shawn because that just kills all the momentum he has, which is why I think AJ would be a better fit than Shinsuke Nakamura. With that said, will it happen? Probably not, but I think that one. I think Shinsuke is more of a fun one than a serious contender. And then the final name Shawn threw out was Cleveland's own Johnny Gargano. That threw me through a loop because I was surprised, but I guess in a way I shouldn't be because he's been a huge fan of Johnny Gargano since he started in NXT. And there's a lot of similarities between him and Shawn or him and Daniel Bryan, however you want to put it. And I'm okay with that. I think that you have the similarities, but yet you're still your own character. And that's what you need more than anything. You can draw parallels and similarities from people. That's fine. But what are you going to do that makes you stand out? And to me, I think Johnny Gargano's in the best spot. And maybe it is biased because I am from the same hometown as Johnny Gargano, but I would love to see a Gargano Shawn Michaels match. I think that would be quality, just like an AJ Styles one. But for me, my dream opponents for Shawn, Roman Reigns comes to mind. And he can afford a loss. I know. He just lost a bunch to Brock Lesnar. I don't think that matters much for Roman because the fans are not going to be on his side regardless at this point. I think any chance that Roman had to get over is pretty much down the tubes. So Roman facing Shawn, that won't hurt anybody, in my opinion. Another person I would like to see face Shawn Michaels would be Daniel Bryan. Just the fact that Shawn helped train Daniel Bryan. It's funny to me to even say that because it's not like Daniel Bryan, trained for like weeks at a time with Shawn. It was once in a blue moon because Shawn owned a wrestling school at the time. So Shawn would stop by whenever his WWE schedule let him. And so it's not like he saw him every day. I mean, he saw him, I think reports said maybe once a month if he was lucky. So I find that whole thing funny. But, they would hype that if that was the case. Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, and right here on YouTube. My name is Nick, and thanks for watching.